Sheriff Rand Henderson is a native Texan and lifelong public servant with both law enforcement and corrections experience, who has served the Montgomery County community since 1994. He was elected Montgomery County Sheriff and was sworn into office on January 1st, 2017. He's married and has 2 children, and he is our host this weekend. Please help me give a warm CSPOA welcome to Sheriff Rand Henderson.
Well, I want to start off by saying thank you so much, Sheriff Mack, for having me follow George Washington. Wow, I mean, that was fantastic. So how about another round for George Washington? That was really cool. Well, welcome to beautiful Montgomery County and also to the Woodlands, Texas. Where it's a pretty cool place that we got here. Their motto is the place to live, work, stay, play, and pray. So if that sounds cool to you, you're in the right place. So we are proud to serve as your host agency. So if there's, this is kind of weird. Let's just slowly drop in here. This didn't happen to George Washington. I mean, he was up here and everything was perfect. No, you're good, you're good. Got it. So if you're a Texas peace officer in particular, if you're even an outside agency that's not from Texas, I guess, we can probably still report your training or do the best we can to do so. But definitely if you're from Texas, I'm not sure what your local rules may be. But I have to say, a big thank you to my staff for helping work with CSPOA to help make this possible. Sergeant Goldsby and our Academy Registrar, Courtney Mishu, were out front working with the registration. I don't know if they're still out there. But if you need any help or whatever, they are there. Don't worry about it. It's just kind of happening. So it's okay. It's okay. They can hear me. It'll be fine. It'll be Sheriff Mack up here in a few minutes, so don't worry about it. A few housekeeping issues. I heard a couple of phones going off. It doesn't bother me, of course, but it's going to bother Sheriff Mack. You know, he was an 8th grade teacher up until here very recently, and he's more of a modern teacher. You know, they don't have chalkboards and stuff, so he doesn't throw erasers, he throws constitutions. So he will whack you in the head with the Constitution from up here, and he's got dead aim accuracy. So please try to silence your phones so you don't interrupt his very important presentation. Sheriff Mack has been a friend of mine. We met in 2014, got introduced by a mutual friend. And I'm proud to have my candidacy have been endorsed by Sheriff Mack both times that I've run for office. And I'm telling you, that's not an easy process. If you haven't been through the vetting process, and you don't have to be up for office to go through the vetting process. If you're a sitting sheriff, or if you're just a public official, if you want to take Sheriff Mack's test, he will work with you in an essay format. You're going to need to read the books. I saw they're for sale out front. Are You a David personally is my favorite, and the cover model, Pam Elliott, is sitting right back over here, former sheriff, so thanks for being here, Sheriff Elliott. I know she's detective for Sheriff Capers now, but you'll forever be a Texas sheriff, so thank you for your service. So that vetting process goes back and forth, and it's a challenge, and I am proud to have passed his muster and gotten his endorsement twice, so please try to do that if you can. And through that process, I learned mostly the importance of the oath of office. I mean, oath of office was administered to me in 1994 when I became a cop by a secretary. I mean, just let that sink in. I mean, how important is it if a secretary who happens to be a notary administers your oath of office? How much importance does the agency place on that if that's where they put it? So whenever I came into office, that was one of the first changes that we made, where I swore in personally every single person in my department, and I've got about 600 commissioned officers. I swore in every one of them on January 1st of 2017. And since then, every employee has been sworn in by either me or one of my command staff. No more secretaries. Thank you. And it's, the importance of the Constitution. It's right there. Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and enforce the laws of this state and of this country. So it's very important that we get, we get that into the next generation of folks, and that becomes part of their career and a part of their DNA and who they are as they matriculate through their law enforcement career. And there's no better way to do that than the sheriff himself or the police chief himself or whomever have that kind of importance that he places on the Constitution and on the oath of office that you take. So a little bit about Montgomery County. We're not immune to all the problems that the rest of the country has faced. You should rest assured knowing that you're in a Second Amendment sanctuary county that has been passed by our Commissioner's Court. And of course, we weren't immune to the pandemic either. So we have struggled, like many of you CEOs that are out there, you sheriffs, your police chiefs, and even any folks that work in law enforcement, and those that were subject to it as our constituents and our citizens. And I tell you that having been through the vetting process with Sheriff Mack, I immediately referred back to what I had been taught. And I think I got a B. I'm not sure that I actually got an A on the first round of lockdowns that we had. We had some pretty draconian lockdowns, both imposed locally and by the state, including a curfew, something that wasn't very popular. And so I had people in both of my ears yelling at me to either do draconian lockdowns or don't enforce anything. So I took a step back and went back to what I had been taught by Sheriff Mack and some of the principles that he espouses as far as enforcing the Constitution. Look to the Constitution first. And so we did that, and I didn't do it perfectly, but I learned. And so the next mandate that comes down is the mask mandate. And that comes down from the state. So you got to remember what the time is here. We're in the middle of social justice upheaval, that we've got protests that are happening, the anti-law enforcement sentiment that's going on. And so we get directives that come down from the state that say, cops, go intervene in somebody at Walmart that's not wearing a mask and cite them or put them in jail. That is not a good idea. So we came out with our mandate immediately, told our folks, and then told the public as well, that we are not getting involved in that at all. So not only would we not enforce it, thank you, but not only would we not enforce the mask mandate, that we wouldn't even respond. So we didn't even send deputies to those scenes. If there was, Sheriff Mack refers to it as the Rosa Parks effect. That Rosa Parks, there was nothing wrong with her sitting in that bus seat. They found another charge, a criminal trespass, to put her in jail for. So if you're still enforcing the law using other charges, that's just a matter of subterfuge. So it's just a different way of carrying out the same threat. So we've learned a lot as to how to apply this. Never been, I'm in my 27th year at the sheriff's office here. Started as a cadet. Never been through a pandemic before. Certainly never been down through these kind of lockdown orders. So we're learning with the rest of you. And thank God that we've got somebody like Sheriff Mack that's out there helping us with that. Just recently went through a natural disaster. A little weird around here, Southeast Texas. It's subtropical. There's some folks from North Dakota that were literally laughing at me and Sheriff Capers a few minutes ago, like, oh, it was 5 degrees or 15 degrees, no big deal. You folks from north of Dallas are weird that y'all want to live in that kind of weather. Y'all can keep it, and if you're from Canada, you're even weirder. I don't want any part of that weather. So the polar vortex blew down here and completely upended our lives. Our pipes are in the attic. We don't have basements. The main water inlet to my house is completely exposed. It's outside of the house and it's made of copper. I can wrap that thing as much as I want and it blew up. So not only did we lose water, but we lost power, which led to freezing, which led to burst pipes. And a lot of these burst pipes happened in attics. And so people have lost all. Their sheetrocks are ripped out of their home. We're used to floods and hurricanes. That I can deal with all day long. I can handle hurricanes and floods. But this polar vortex stuff, y'all can keep it. So that was last week. So Sheriff Mack was terrified all last week that I was going to call him. It's like, what? He goes, I was afraid you were going to cancel this. It's like, oh, no, dude, we'll have spring next week. And here it is. So Southeast Texas is humid, raining, and you got it. So here we are. And so I expect that we will have good weather other than the rain, but that is Houston. It rains here, and that's okay. We like it. So no problems. I guess I'd like to end with the whole point of me getting probably a B or a B minus at first, and then going back to the teachings and getting closer, maybe to getting a little closer to an A, is the importance of what Sheriff Mack is going to teach you today. So please listen, please try to adhere to the principles. You don't have to agree with everything, but walk away here enlightened, understanding more about the Constitution and understanding more about the oath of office. And my personal take on it is that liberty is what's most important. Individual liberty is what this country was founded on, but with individual liberty comes personal responsibility. So being a good citizen is also part of it. And I ask that each of you try to adhere to those principles day in and day out. And I can't tell you how honored I am to be part of this and to be your friend, Sheriff Mack. Thank you so much.